for an educational evening exclusive to Radio Al Ansar.
Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead.
School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Still the whole world could.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. You can say it once or 100 times or more. You feel a peace inside.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to School Matters. Yes, good evening. And again, it's School Matters, the show where we explore everything shaping our classroom, our learners, and the future of education. I'm your host, Sumaya Khan. Yes, on Radio Al Ansar 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg. Tonight, we're stepping into an exciting and fast-growing world, artificial intelligence and robotics in South African schools. From coding classrooms to robot competitions and from digital learning tools to future-ready careers, we are asking, are our schools prepared for the algorithm nation? Well, whether you are in a government school or a private school, everyone is doing something with artificial intelligence or coding or robotics. Joining me tonight are two incredible guests, Adila Razak, coding and robotics educator and software engineer and a teacher at Al Falah College. You know, generally you will have it the other way, an educator who goes into corporate, but this is corporate into engineering. Well, they tell you, you're either born a teacher or you're not a teacher. And our other guest is Yubeshan Mudley, coding and robotics teacher and award-winning robotics mentor. He's no first time to School Matters. Well, he joined us over the course of, I would say, just before COVID. He used to be an educator at Star College, and he was here when coding and robotics was full-blown out. He was here mentoring, tutoring, giving advice live on air. Together, we will unpack how artificial intelligence is changing education, what opportunities it brings for learners, and how South African schools can keep up with the global revolution. So stay tuned, and this is School Matters exclusive to Radio Al Ansar. Yes, Adila, welcome to School Matters.
Thank you so much, Sumaya, for having me.
Well, you know, I know school is over. This is a time when you're relaxing and settling down at home, but you're back in School Matters on Radio Al Ansar. Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Well, we also have Yubeshan Mudley. Hello, Yubeshan.
Hi, Sumaya, and good evening to everyone listening at home.
Okay, your camera seems to be off. We cannot see you, but we can hear you. If you can try to put your camera on.
Is that a bit better?
Oh, yes. So there's Adila. We have Adila, an educator. Yeah, you have left the province of KZN. You are teaching and busy in Johannesburg.
Yes, I am. Some opportunities came up in Johannesburg, and I've now moved up to Gauteng.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
I've been here for about a month now.
Okay.
So I've started the second term at a school in Joburg.
Okay, and what you call coding and robotics. You know, what does the algorithm nation means in context of South African education?
Well, for the listeners at home who don't know what an algorithm is, but I've heard this like YouTube algorithm and TikTok algorithm. It's just a set of instructions. So when we talk about algorithm nation, it's that we need not just learners in schools, but parents and people in high school and at university to start understanding that AI is not something scary and have rules that we need to follow and a list of things that we need to do to make our use of AI a lot better.
Do you know, you're saying scary? Well, educators are terrified because, like, are they replacing us? Are they taking our jobs? Oh gosh, we earn so little bit, and we constantly have to upgrade our skills, and well, that's sometimes quite stressful.
Yes, it is. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think that we don't have to be because there's certain things that our students can do that we can't program computers to do yet.
Okay, so you see technology just taking over.
Technology is taking over. If you look at all the jobs, even if you take a job where an architecture used to draw a plan back in the day, now there's a software that's involved with that. That's the reason why we equip learners with problem solving, creativity, and digital literacy skills that are essential for future careers in technology driven industries.
Yeah, do you know, that's so important. Adila, why is coding and robotics important for South African schools today?
We're basically preparing them for tomorrow. With AI and everything taking over, the job that we currently have now is not going to exist tomorrow.
Exactly. You know, I saw something on social media, Zach, that in China, they go to the screen. There's a virtual doctor, physician, who diagnoses you, tells you what medication you're on, and they said it's 99% correct. And I was like so surprised. Actually, I had to like really look into it. Was this true, or was it just again AI, artificial intelligence video going around? But it was the truth. First time in China, they tried out something. So imagine the jobs. Forget the teachers and other professions. One would think that a job of a physician, a specialist, will never be threatened. But here you have artificial intelligence. You betcha?
Well, I think for quite a long time, some people have been using things like WebMD or just Google to Google their symptoms. So I think AI being able to diagnose some things is helpful, especially because we don't have enough doctors in the world. That's a constant problem that's been around for years. So to have these AI features that can make people's jobs a bit easier, I think we need to move away from being too scared about it because, as I mentioned earlier on, I think some of these jobs can't be fully replaced by AI. We still need humans in there. We need that touch of empathy and understanding that a computer can't get to at the moment. So it is a bit scary, but I think a lot of the simpler things, like if you're looking at your symptoms in a textbook and you knew what to diagnose from that, that's pretty much what AI is doing because it has access to all this information.
Okay. You know, Adila, going back to why is coding and robotics important for South African schools today?
Yes. So, you know, there's a rollout program that's delayed currently in the schools, and we have schools that are so advanced with all these curriculum and infrastructure, and then we have our schools in the government sector that doesn't have access to all these things, and they are not going to be ready for those future jobs that we are talking about. And if we as educators, the ones that do have access to that knowledge, if we are not going to pay it forward and help these other teachers that are waiting patiently for the government to come in and chip in and tell them what to do, the whole country basically takes a step back. And this is where it comes in, this is where we pay it forward, and this is where we get our teachers ready. So the teacher initiative needs to start now.
Exactly. And you know, I like what you said, because we focus so much on the skills and growth of the child and the learner and them, but sometimes the harsh reality, gosh, we as educators, we never study computer science or coding and robotics, and the only thing we played with, I know when I went for training, I think it was like about 5 years ago when coding and robotics first came out, and we did boats and tangents, you know, and we played games like with ducks and literally games what children played. And I'm thinking to myself, is this coding and robotics?
But that's the starting point. And I think there's a misconception that coding and robotics only relate to tech items.
100%. That's what I assumed. And I'm talking now going back like about 6-7 years when it first got introduced. And I think we had COVID and kind of stopped and then we continued. And Lego bricks. Wow, Lego bricks is like taking over when you look at robotics, because generally, like in the government sector and people who do tuition, everything is with Legos.
Yeah.
So one would say, are we promoting Legos? Is it a tender with Legos? Yubeshan, what would you say?
There probably is a tender somewhere that we don't know about. But the nice thing about Lego products, because I also use them, is that they have different ranges for different age groups. And the good thing about education these days, especially because of coding and robotics coming in, is that there's a lot of gamification.
Yeah.
So we can play these games with learners, and from the outside looking in, it's like, why are you guys playing with Legos, or why are you just on the computers all the time? But there's a lot of training for logic, training for understanding, and all these new concepts that these learners have to use help them across other subjects as well. So these Lego products are good because you have stuff for the preschool learners, primary school learners, and the high school learners, and they scaffold this across the different products they have. So the primary school learners, they love the price as well.
I always tell my daughter, if I sell your Legos, all your Legos you collected over the years, I could buy something really big, really expensive, and really nice. They are a bit pricey.
Yeah.
But again, you enjoy making it and seeing what you can do. Adila, what challenges do teachers face in rolling out the subjects?
You see, I actually had a conversation with another teacher in a government school, and they are like, we have the computers, we have internet, but we don't know what to do. We have no clue. We don't know what coding and robotics
And
is.
there's no syllabus. Is there a hardcore syllabus as yet?
The CAP curriculum, not the one that's official.
Yeah.
There is one that's available, the draft. You can follow that. That gives you a guideline. But I think where the problem lies is computer science is not something that you can just learn like English and Afrikaans. There is formulas involved, there's critical thinking involved, and teachers need to know the skills in order to teach it. But you can start off small. I normally used to do human made with my kids at the very beginning. I used to use the tiles on the floor as the map, and we would put obstacles on those tiles.
Yeah, same thing we did. Exactly like how would you get from this block into that block? And these were teachers who are being trained with coding and robotics. And if somebody came from the outside into this hall, they would laugh. They'll say, look at these stupid teachers. What are they doing?
But you know what? It's so good because you're teaching the learner valuable mapping skills. And there's like movement that are turning movement and actual movement where you move from point A to point B. So we used to normally use the learners as the controller, and they will navigate their friend who will be the human robot. And it used to be so fun because they used to learn from their errors when they make a wrong direction. And you know what? That's excellent for teaching unplugged coding. So by starting off small and doing little activities and stuff like that, that's your start. Start off small.
Do you know, lots of us feel like you need to know maths and be really good in maths. And yes, guys, yes, listeners, yes, you listening right now. Not every teacher loves maths. We've also been those children who hated maths. And then you feel like, gosh, coding and robotics and artificial intelligence, and my maths is so bad.
I actually think it's more problem solving than math.
Okay.
So if you're able to problem solve, then you'll do excellent at it. I have students that coded their timetable last week, but they don't know their timetable. So they're like, oh, ma'am, how can we do this, yet we don't know our timetable? It was like so easy for them to create a formula once they knew how to do it, yet actually calling out their timetable was a bit of a task.
Exactly. Yeah, well, as humbly I'll say it, we're learning every day as educators.
Absolutely.
We're not perfect. We are learning. We still make those mistakes. Yubeshan, how early should learners be introduced to coding and robotics in schools? How early would you say?
I would think at least from grade R.
Yeah.
You can probably start at like double R with some very easy games and topics. But in grade R, the learners are level where they may not be able to read, but they're able to engage with the concept. We teach creating an algorithm, sequence, understanding orders and instructions. And it's nice for grade R teachers to include other concepts as well, like colors and numbers and words that they're working on. So it's versatile to use coding and robotics as a platform to also strengthen other areas that the learners need to work on, because you use that as the topic and you use the coding and robotics as the platform to do that training. So definitely as early as possible, so they're familiar with it.
So let your child play with those bricks, Lego bricks. Don't tell them to go and sleep. So whatever they're doing is definitely going to help them. The Lego bricks. The Lego bricks and playing those games, how those mind games and, as you said, problem-solving games. Adila, what is the first steps for a teacher who feels overwhelmed? And I know I was overwhelmed, and lots of colleagues said, gosh, this is not for us who are seasoned teachers and teaching for so long. These are for the new ones. Get the new ones to do coding and robotics. Get the new ones to do artificial intelligence. It's not for us.
You know what? I had the exact encounter where one of my older colleagues, she also told me the exact same thing, and she went for a workshop actually, and she came back, she's like, Adela, this is not for me, and you need to take over. This is your genre, and what you need to basically do is start off small. You are not there to be an expert. You are experimenting and learning with the learner. There were times where there is no wrong answer. There are different ways of doing things, and we also learn from our errors. So sometimes a learner finds their own way of doing things, and you actually learn their way. So start off small, do simple block-based coding, and then go on to tech-based. There's so many free resources out there. I love using Arduino. If you buy a simple microcontroller, you can download things like Tinkercad. Or if you don't want to buy the microcontroller, there is a free simulation platform called Tinkercad where all the components are on there, and you can practice dragging, dropping, putting an LED on, experimenting with the code, moving from block-based to tech-based. It's amazing.
Yubeshan, I'm not going to ask you because you'll tell me, Sumaya, don't you know I play all those games? So are you one of those people who are also playing all those games?
I am.
With the block people. I'm not going to mention with the block people and the block looking, and you're getting money and you're getting fruit, and there's my daughter. So exciting. Like someone gave you so much. You're talking about something which is virtual.
You know what? The kids in my class, they know that I build servers on the side and stuff like that, and they work with servers with blocked fruit. And they come in like, ma'am, can you build a server for us? This is the problem that we are encountering. And oh my word, it is so nice to have conversations with them, to relate with them. And
So if you want to be young and cool, if you're listening right now and you're an educator, get with the program, Artificial Intelligence. Yubeshan, we need to get with it. Yubeshan, what are the biggest benefits of teaching artificial intelligence and robotics in the classrooms today?
I think ultimately we're going to see that learners are a lot smarter because they're being engaged with problem solving and these other higher learning activities that they normally wouldn't be exposed to. I think before coding and robotics came into schools, it was just learners who were doing competitions and Olympiads that were exposed to this intense problem solving. But now, as part of the normal syllabus, the learners are expected to think on that level. So I think when these kids get out of school and have their own kids, we're going to see a different level of thinking from everyone around us.
Hopefully. Robocop and Transformers, we never thought it'll materialize, huh? And there we are. You know, Adila, when it comes to collaboration, working together, what role does collaboration, especially amongst teachers, play?
To me, I think we all have different strengths. Yubeshan may be good with the Legos and coding those resources, where I might be good at Arduino and building actual circuits and coding it. So when you collaborate, you're able to share knowledge. We're able to learn more. By you keeping your knowledge towards yourself, you're not only, robbing yourself from that information, but as well as the kid and the future generation. So in order for us to move into this era and not get left behind, collaboration is the best.
So important.
Yeah.
Yubeshan, I know definitely the schools in Johannesburg, but when I had that artificial intelligence, I think you attended it.
I was.
That seminar, gosh, it was so overwhelming for me, especially when, what is those gadgets called where it like plastic, it just makes things.
The 3D printers.
The 3D printers, wow, that like really took all of us. Like we only saw that there in those Tom Cruise movies and stuff. We never knew we were going to see it in real. So it is real, people. And so we really think like what's going on. But I know like lots of schools have built robots. And even our speakers were there when they came onto radio, and when they came for the seminar, they brought their robots. And they told me, even educators, well, these ones are cheap. They're like 20,000 or 50 or 150. But we cannot bring Yubeshan our big robots. I said, okay, but why? Do you need transport? Do you need help? No, Sumaya, they're over R1 million.
Oh my word.
So I was like, oh my gosh. So tell me, I know lots of schools. Yubeshan, you can tell me just now, robots. Do they build the robots, the children? Humanoids. Humanoids.
Yeah. We don't have to use the 1 million rand budget to build it, but we can use things like a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino, which is a microcontroller.
Yeah.
This is basically the brain of the computer itself and what we use to program it. You can make a robot out of a box, and you can do the same thing as the 1 million rand robot, and using these microcontrollers. So you don't need expensive equipment to start. You can start small, and you can do the same job.
It's so it's like so enlightening and overwhelming to see these little kids. They made something which can talk back and communicate with you. Especially like as a parent, they get so excited. Yeah, Yubeshan, tell me what I know. You probably tried everything and attempted to make everything. You're probably just waiting for finance for something.
There's lots of different things that are available. And the learners do make them on their own as well. Because that term robot can apply to so many things. So our learners, when they practice for like the World Robotics Olympiad and those kind of things, they use Legos to build tiny little robots that move around on their own. So in school, they probably won't build something that's like more humanoid and like Terminator vibes, but they will make other small things that they can control. There's lots of different ways they can apply themselves.
Before we take our ad break, listeners, guys, Yubeshan was first in place for what was it? What competition? It was some international competition.
In 2023, it was the Metafic World Maths Olympiad.
Wow, you're a brain. You're a nerd. So
I'm definitely a nerd.
When South Africa is in war, we think we need Adila, we need you, to put those gadgets together. I'm not giving any negative vibes, but like we need those people. Listeners, we'll be taking a short ad break.
You are listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Radio Al-Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031-306-4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickville Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
In South Africa, countless numbers of sick patients leave their homes at the crack of dawn to join long queues at clinics and public hospitals, many of them suffering pangs of hunger in addition to the symptoms of disease. The Al-Imdad Foundation's Slice for Life teams deliver sandwiches to these patients at more than 40 hospitals and clinics across the country. Help us to keep on relieving hunger. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
You are listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
خير الأنام عليك الصلاة عليك السلام يجيبك ربي لما ترتجي فأنت المشفع يوم القيامة شفيع الخلائق خير الأنام عليك الصلاة عليك السلام يجيبك ربي لما ترتجي فأنت المشفع يوم القيامة شفيع الخلائق شفيع الخلائق شفيع الخلائق خير الأنام عليك الصلاة عليك السلام شفيع الخلائق خير الأنام عليك الصلاة عليك السلام يجيبك ربي لما ترتجي فأنت المشفع يوم
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, welcome to School Matters with me, Sumaya Khan. Yes, I'm your host, and this evening we're stepping into an exciting, fast-growing world of artificial intelligence and robotics in South African schools, from coding classrooms to robot competitions, and from digital learning tools to future-ready careers. That's important, the careers, the jobs, the responsibility our children are going to have. We are asking, are our schools prepared for the algorithm nation? Is South Africa ready, regardless whether you're in a government school, whether you're in a private school, ex-model C school? Is South Africa ready to be part of this and, the future careers? Joining us this evening is Adila Razak, coding and robotics educator at Al Falah College, but also a software engineer. And Yubeshin Mudli, no first time to School Matters, a former teacher of Star College, and actually now is also an educator in Johannesburg. If I'm correct, it's Eden.
Yes, that's correct.
Eden College.
Eden College,
right?
Eden College, yes.
Yes, Eden College. And he always makes us proud. He was also the award winner internationally for robotics mentor. And from the time I know Yubeshin, he always got these bright ideas. And sometimes I just used to feel like, okay, Yubeshin, you're thinking too much, or you're watching too much of the sci-fi programs. But dude, as I'll say, as you know, Mr. Gokul used to come on, he's late now, the principal of Burn will say, that dude got potential. And, he must be smiling all the way in heaven, like, look at you, Yubeshin, you're doing so well. Mr. Gokul, he was actually the principal of Burnwood Secondary. He was a veteran of School Matters. He was somebody who saw coding and robotics and artificial intelligence. I'm talking about 15 years ago. He was one of the only person who was invited by Mark Shuttleworth to NASA. And he had this whole system in a government school. So he was a trendsetter. Unfortunately, we lost him during COVID and many others. So as I said, his legacy still lives on. So Yubeshin, you are definitely making waves. And having our humble Adila, a software engineer who's now a teacher, as somebody will say, oh, you're just a teacher, but no, you're imparting your knowledge, and you're definitely a value to the institution you are, because you come with, besides the teacher knowledge, you're coming with the knowledge of corporate, and with that, wow, amazing things can happen. Adila, we were talking about coding. Tell me, when it comes to, we said we spoke about collaboration. How can teachers integrate coding into existing subjects?
Okay. So if you look at math is a very good subject to integrate coding. and you use platforms like Excel. You teach them formulas. You teach them how to generate their timetables. You can also do pattern recognition, make them follow patterns. With grade R level, you can basically use co-cap. You'll count them, you'll get them to sit in a specific order. You get your learner to copy that pattern and repeat after you. You just don't have to do it with that. You can do pattern recognition with sound, and we can teach coding and robotics with sound.
You know, as you're talking, especially schools and institutions who do not have the resources or the infrastructure or the finance and the funding, what you're saying can be used.
I was so fortunate that I've managed to teach coding and robotics in all brackets. Started off in the government school, and then I went to another school, and now I'm here. And they all have their own challenges. And best believe the very first school, they had very limited resources. We used bottle caps, we drew marks on the sand, and we made a grid.
Hopscotch.
Yeah, so we used actual object, like we would take the dustbin and we will create an object with that. We'll use ourselves as the robot and the kid that controllers. So the only limitation is your mind, Sumaya. If you really want to teach the subject, you can really make it work. If you're not going to do it, you're going to get left behind.
You know, as you're talking, a message came through that back in the day, you should have children between the age of 5 right till 16 all in one classroom, and at the end of the day, everyone could read or write.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a gift. Yubeshan, what challenges do South African schools face when trying to implement artificial intelligence?
I think the most obvious one is financial, so I'm not speak about that. But I think the bigger problem we're having is not to single anyone out. I think a lot of principals were like, because you can use a computer, please go and teach coding and robotics. And it doesn't translate that way. We need effort and a love for the subject from the teachers that are teaching this, because there's no real syllabus around. There's textbooks that are coming out now, but they also finding their feet. So you need a teacher that's willing to invest their time into keeping up with the latest trends, making the subject fun for the learners, and trying to impart the knowledge that they're supposed to get, so that by the time they reach grade 10 and they want to do something like IT, they have like a proper skill set that they can use.
Yeah. Adila, how can rural schools with limited internet access participate? Now that's something, the harsh reality. Schools, the masses, they have bills to pay where they're just battling. You have infrastructure problems, you have nutrition problems, the challenges in a government sector. And now they don't even have limited internet access. So how can rural schools or schools which are experiencing these similar problems with limited internet access still participate?
Sumaya, there is a thing in math which we call decomposition and composition, where we put things together and we break it apart. And rural schools can actually use concrete objects and stuff where they build stuff and take them apart as well. And if they have access to computers with limited internet, there are free software out there, not just the rural schools, our schools as well. I don't think the educators are aware of all the free platforms that they can use. Like I taught Python on VS Code. VS Code is a free platform. It's a free IDE. It's basically an interface that we use to teach coding. And then we have things like Tinkercad, which offers simulation. You can download them and they work perfectly offline. And the also famous Scratch and Scratch Junior. I'm not sure everybody had like a love-hate relationship with that app. But you know what? For foundation, it's very good. And if internet is limited, they can definitely roll out.
Since you're talking about that there, when we went for training teachers, we had to take out our phone and download that app. So we also had a love-hate relationship with that there. You mentioned, what role does robotics play in improving problem solving and critical thinking skills, especially in learners?
So the reason why coding and robotics is so much better at helping these kids with problem solving is because the learners get to see what the outcome is immediately most of the time. Whereas a learner doing maths, for example, something like Pythag is so important and so useful that the kids will still ask you a question like, how can I use this? When am I ever going to use this in my life? And that kind of thing. And with coding and robotics, they see those changes and they see those results immediately. So it kind of helps them to understand that I should be doing this because this is what happens afterwards. And when they see that evidence, it's like cements that problem-solving skill that they've just learned.
Okay. Wow, that's so amazing and true. Adila, how do open source communities support teachers?
A lot of the open source community, they have forums and platforms where their tutorials, they have code that you can download, basically step-by-step guide that you can use to start learning how to code. So that basically bridges that financial gap and helps you get ahead with your learning before, the school, basically the department rolls it out.
So end of the day, no matter what you say, for anything, from paying your bills to good infrastructure, from QLT, safety, and now even artificial intelligence and coding robotics, you need to work with the community.
Yes,
it's so
absolutely,
important to progress. Yubeshan, how do you see artificial intelligence changing traditional subjects like mathematics, science, and languages? Will it change? Or would it stay stagnant, the same?
It's definitely going to change because learners are finding new and improved ways to cheat with AI. So schools are trying to keep up with that. But also, I believe that these AIs are most helpful because once you start speaking to them quite often, they start speaking back to you in a way that's more comfortable to you. And it's helpful because if a child is not understanding from the teacher at school and they have to put that question into AI, the AI is probably going to relate it back to them in a way that's going to help them the most. And if it doesn't, they can always just reprompt and say, I still didn't understand that, please can you explain in a different way. Which is a lot better than what schools do with their intervention classes and having the same teacher teach the learner and the learner still not understanding anything.
Since you're talking about AI, I know we had to think, use our brains. We had to scratch and fight and ask father, teacher, sister, brother. We needed to make that sum work out or think, use the dictionary to write that essay. Now, AI is, you think about it, we're progressing, but are we making the future generation not thinkers? It's just a question. Just something to think about. Because lots of learners are being lazy. I know one of the universities I'm not sure whether it's Cape Town, they do not allow AI, especially for exams, because they found a lot of the learners. Well, plagiarism used to exist before. Now this is just advanced plagiarism if you're looking at it.
Now we have bigger problems like once you type an essay, then we're taking it and putting it into a humanizer to make it sound like a human, and then it's still getting flagged. So we have AI problems now.
There was that first humanoid who actually committed suicide. Am I right? Was it last year?
Oh my word!
Yeah.
What
I think that might have been fake news. There were quite a lot of AI stories like that were not true, and then when you just Google them, you can check the sources and you can find out that they were not true. I think there was another one that some AI and robots escaped the show and they were killing people, which also was not true because we would have definitely heard about that on major networks if that was true.
Oh gosh! Wow, that's definitely a good movie. You tend to think about it. What careers, Yubeshan, the future learners should be preparing for because of AI and robotics?
Remember when cell phones first came out, everyone was like, we don't need that, that's just for businessmen, and uncles used to wear their cell phones on their hip, and that kind of thing. And then now...
You were so rich, you had that big brick.
And we've reached a stage where like some people can't survive the day without having their phone in their hand. So I think AI is going to reach a level like that, where it's going to be a tool that we can use a lot. So people shouldn't be too scared about AI replacing their jobs. They should be worried about people who can use AI effectively and do those jobs better than them. That's where the real problem is.
So I think as you're mentioning, people fear about losing their jobs. I mean, unemployment rate is so high in South Africa, realistically. They say 700,000 graduates every year, and more than 70% are unemployed after that. So, AI, forget the challenge looking for a job. We have AI.
I think instead of being scared of it, they need to embrace it, and they need to learn it, because AI is not going to replace you, but it will replace the person that doesn't utilize AI, it's only as smart as we make it.
So exactly, it's like we need to be computer smart, and the typewriter.
Yes.
You go back in time and you think about it. Oh gosh, Adila, what role do students, learners play in driving the subject forward?
They are enthusiastic. They just love it. The moment they know they have coding and robotics for the day, they will be in your face every lesson, bumping into you.
You're the fun teacher, man. Come on, you're playing all those games.
Yeah, so they are so excited. And you know what? I always have experiences where I would teach them something. They would go home, do their own research, try to be better than me. And they even if we're doing a simple thing like a speed typing, and if they know my words were like 50 words per minute, they're like, ma'am, guess what? I beat your high score. It's like little things like
and
that.
Those are little kids.
Yes, and if I built a code to power like a LED, they already know how to time it, how to turn it off and on. And it's like, before you feel like they're going too fast, you need to have things to constantly keep them abreast and, to have things ready for them, because they love it. They drive for it. It's going to push us forward.
Wow. So when you think about it, changing careers, it all starts at school, Yubeshan, if you could change one thing in South African education today regarding technology, what would it be?
Oh, that's a really nice question. I think we need to find ways to get teachers.
Remember that. Think from that point, yeah.
We need to get teachers more interested in the subjects that they're teaching. So this heavily applies to coding and robotics, but I think other subjects as well. Because we've also reached the stage where a lot of people couldn't get jobs in what they studied, so a PGCE is easier, and getting into teaching is what they do, and they don't have that passion or that patience. I did not do that.
You did not do that. You did that?
You know what? Funny story. I started teaching, and it was so hard to secure a job in teaching, and we had the governing body roles. I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I can't live on this salary. I'm leaving teaching, and I decided to go into a completely different field, which was software engineering. And I graduated as a system dev. And little did I realize that coding and robotics was being introduced into school, and now I actually do both. So it's a very big passion of mine, that I get to teach, and that I get to teach what I love.
Oh, well, alhamdulillah, that's so good to you to know. Yeah, so as you were saying, Yubeshan?
Yeah, I was saying the interest level, because not every teacher is as interested. A lot of teachers come to school, and as long as I get my salary, I'm happy. But there's a lot that's missed out between keeping the learners engaged and having them develop a love for any subject that some teachers are not concerned about. So I think that needs to change. Like, people need to have a bit more passion about inspiring the youth and making them do better.
Yeah, that's so important, the love for it, huh? You need to bring that, and that will encourage them to do more. What is your message to teachers hesitant about coding and robotics?
Sumaya, I don't think they need to be an expert to start. Yeah. Use free resources, learn alongside your student, and remember, every small step builds the future. You have to have that drive to learn, continuously learn. Just like how you teach your student, you also need to have that drive within you. Yeah.
Well, listeners, right now, I'm going to interrogate our two guests. There's stuff you don't know about them. Adila, you do a hell of a lot of community work in the government sector when it comes to coding and robotics and artificial intelligence. I was quite surprised because you're really humble. No one knows about it. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so previously I worked on project with an organization called Girl Code, where we used to have a whole lot of
That's DUT Girl Code.
So DUT, we were part of the Tech Society,
Okay.
right? And UKZN as well. So I'm also part of that organization with my amazing friend Natasha. I'm not sure if she's listening, but she's been guiding me through this as well. And so at Girl Code, we teach girls how to code, and we ran a few programs, and then it went on to like various hackathons where we ran competitions, and they had to build innovative projects. And and I'm also a multi-time hackathon winner, which I didn't mention.
Wow.
And currently, we're working with the Chatworth Nelson Mandela Center to roll out some program for educators. So we want to teach educators.
So you're looking government teachers?
Yes, government teachers.
Okay.
So like our other schools are fortunate enough to have all those training. Our government teachers don't. They are waiting, and we are done waiting. So it's upon us now to basically take those steps. So I have been in contact with Clive, who's in charge of the Nelson Mandela Center. We had a meeting this weekend, and we're going to be rolling out like simple projects like AI for teachers. Then we're doing a Canva for teachers, and another one, our favorite, coding and robotics for teachers.
Oh, Alhamdulillah, that's so good.
Yeah.
And you, Beshan, you do a million things, but you also do some other stuff on a personal level. Can you tell us about that? What you teach, you tutor.
Yes, I do tutor, and we also create websites and apps, and we do marketing as well. So it's all on the IT side of things. And then with the tuition side, we just cover maths, IT, coding, robotics, and we do preparation for competitions as well.
As I mentioned, listeners, in the beginning of the show, if South Africa is at war, we have the people. We just need to go and get the hawks to just find them. Does the hawks even exist? I don't think so. Just go and find them. But it's so nice to know that in South Africa we have educators on the ground who know so much and have studied so much and have the expertise and skills to take our country to the next level. You know, you guys don't realize it, but by what you all are doing, especially with coding and robotics and artificial intelligence, you're actually empowering a nation. Because again, it's like not all of us are mathematicians, but you all got this flair, this passion. And you mention your contact details if any listeners would like to contact you, educators right now.
Sure, they're welcome to contact me on WhatsApp or via call. The number is 076 473-6580, and that's for Elite Edge Education.
And Adila?
They can contact me on WhatsApp. It's 084-6900-661.
Okay. You know, again, I love people who do community stuff where, you know, there's no monetary gain, but you're giving so much. And when it comes to knowledge and teaching and skill and growing and uplifting people, you know, every religious scripture, the Quran, everyone says that's a blessing on its own. Again, you can't see it, but it happens in your life. So alhamdulillah, and may the Almighty give you all the strength, the passion in all that you'll do, because coding and robotics and artificial intelligence, we are not the experts. We are terrified, and we have you guys, educators, who are out there to uplift the nation. So definitely, Yubeshin, when you're down in KZN and Adila, we'll definitely look at doing something for the educators in general. Once again, thank you for linking up this evening, Yubeshin, all the way in Johannesburg on School Matters. Quite weird to have you, you know, on screen. Normally you're in studio. So thank you so much and take care.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
You're
Good night to all
welcome.
the guests.
Same to you. Adila, thank you so much. I know now normally you're all the way at home, but you took all the time so far. You came to studio, and we really appreciate it. And I know we are so humbled that you still want to impart, and you're still doing so much, being a mom, being an educator, being a tutor, mentor, community person. May the Almighty bless you, and Jazakallah for all that you do. And coming here onto School Matters, during the night. So jazakallah so much. You know, as we come to the end of tonight's discussion, one thing is clear: artificial intelligence and robotics are no longer the future. They are the present, and we should know that. So from coding skills to creative problem solving, and learners are stepping into a world where technology is shaping their insights and experiences. And to our listeners, the question is no longer should we embrace artificial intelligence in school, but rather how fast can we prepare our learners for it and ourselves. Thanks to Zach, our tech. Love having you as the tech always. This has been School Matters on Radio Lansar 90.4 FM in Durban. From me, Sumaya Khan. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep building the future. Assalamu alaikum.
Every student can learn, just not on the same day or the same way. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an opened one.
Join Sumaya Khan every Tuesdays between 7 and 8 p.m. for an educational evening exclusive to Radio Al-Ansar.
Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead.
An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al-Ansar News.
Making news this hour, the 21st of April, the news from Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg 105.6 FM. Police probe disruptive Durban CBD protest, America Monina. eThekwini municipality says the Metro Police and the police service are working to establish what the protests that have been taking place in the Durban CBD are about and who actually is behind it. The demonstrations